wherever you're watching us from. It's here on Cafe, and I am Tolulope Akinyemi, your host for this morning. And of course, we bring you an exciting program and topic to talk about today. And compliments of the season to you all. Hope you guys are doing great and you're enjoying the season. Okay, so today we're talking about something super interesting, and we're talking about the federal government development of sickle cell vaccine. And we're going to be having a special, we have a special and amazing guest here with us this morning to have an intensive discussion on sickle cell vaccine. And good morning, sir. His name is Dr. Akim Elo. Welcome, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, host. Good morning, people at home.
Thank you so much, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Hope it was not hectic traveling.
Wow. We thank God.
Okay, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So we're talking about the development of sickle cell vaccine, federal government development of sickle cell vaccine. I would like to ask, sir, what is the importance of sickle cell vaccine? Like, what is the effect of the whole sickle cell vaccine, sir?
Well, thank you very much once again. Good morning. Before we go into sickle cell vaccine, we need to talk about sickle cell itself. Sickle cell. In all of them, we know that is a genetic disorder that we inherit from our both parents. You know, there's what we call AS. Assuming our parents are AS. There's that probability of us inheriting the disease from them. Is a possibility. And what this disease causes is a genetic disorder that affects the red blood cells, the one that makes the blood to appear red. And you know, these cells carry oxygen into various parts of the body from the lungs. And if they are affected with this disease, the cells that carry oxygen, that we call the red blood cells, become sickle-celled, and they can be easily destroyed in the body. When they're destroyed, they form clots, the blood vessels, and the patient is predisposed to having infections because the immune system will also be. Now, when we are talking about this vaccine, we talk about the vaccines that there are some of these bacterial infections. There are some of these bacterial infections that usually affect patients. The majority of patients with sickle cell disease. And some of these bacterial infections, we have bacteria like, I mentioned names. You know, this one is not academic process we are discussing here. We have streptococcal infection, and also we have immunovirus. They are the main ones that cause problems among people living with sickle cell disease. And they are responsible for, like now, streptococcal infection is responsible for 40% of infections affecting patients of sickle cell, and hemophilus affect about 12% of them. But you know, all this can be reduced if you develop vaccine against this illness. Is this vaccine that we are talking about? We are talking about vaccines against this illness that affect patients, illnesses that affect patients with sickle cell disease. Mainly bacterial vaccines, that's what we are talking about. And some of these vaccines have been developed all over the world. You know, when you are talking about sickle cell disease itself, it's affected about 20 million people all over the world. And more than 90% of the patients, they are still in this part of the world, sub-Saharan Africa. So that reason we need to develop, in order to improve the quality of life and to save the life of majority of these patients that are having this sickle cell disease. That's the more reason that we need to develop these vaccines.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. About that, I would like to ask, sir, that does that mean that if the federal government successfully develop this sickle cell vaccine, does that mean that someone that is AS and AS can actually go ahead to get married? Because this aspect, you know, it has affected a lot of Nigerians, especially Africans, when we talk about sickle cell. So does it mean that after the development of this particular vaccines, that means I guess any couples, intending couples that wants to get married and their genotype is AS can go ahead having the assurance that we have a vaccine for sickle cell?
I've told you before, there's a lot of misinformation we know about this vaccine. The vaccine is not directly against the sickle cell disease. Okay. The sickle cell is against, it's just improve the immune system of the patient so that they'll be able to fight against some diseases in the body, bacterial infections in the body. Those are what the vaccines claim. It's not that. Now, the best way that we can prevent sickle cell disease is when you prevent people with traits from marrying each other. There's no shortcuts. There's no shortcut. But the best way that we can do this is that we try as possible to prevent people. If you have AS, AC, AS, it's better. You don't marry somebody that have AS, AC. Again, or SS, marry AS. Okay. So that's the best way we have to talk to our people. And we can only achieve this by, maybe most likely by pre-marriage counseling. And by the time we go for testing, you know the problem we have in this Africa is this: we don't do tests. We don't do tests. And again, the funders, the majority of our partners, funders that come to assist us when it comes to health sectors, it's not their problem. Sickle cell is not their problem. When we have HIV is their problem. That is they bring money that they now making it. They are doing the test free. But sickle cell disease, what I want to let you know is that sickle cell disease, majority, more than 90% of children with sickle cell disease are not diagnosed. They die before we make the diagnosis. They die before we make the diagnosis.
And why do you think that is actually?
Because in this part of the world, screening.
But it should be the work of the particular, let me say, physician before doing anything to diagnose the patient before going ahead to actually treat the person.
Let me tell one thing. How many of them do come to hospital? How many? And it's not free. When they come, if you say you want to go and do, you want to screen them for sickle cell, it's not free. You have to pay. How many can afford the bill? Unlike HIV now. HIV, when you go to hospital, everything is free. The drugs are free. But this one, this part of the world, we are not used to screening. Ordinary blood pressure screening. Many people are afraid to go to hospitals. They don't have time until when they are sick. So your analysis that maybe there is a way that we have to sentence our people, we have to reorientate our people, we have to go and give them more education, health education, to let them do this. Because majority of patients are not diagnosed. That's the reason we are here.
So, but I feel like when we talk about sickle cell patients, basically, due to some experiences and what we've heard on social media, I feel like most of them actually goes to the hospital, they go to the clinic, both for diagnosis or for, probably when they are not feeling too well, they have to rush them to the hospital. Now, one of the problems these particular sickle cell victims are undergoing, for example, there's a particular person on Instagram that everybody knows that she's battling with sickle cell, and her name is Precious Saga. And one of the issues that she actually always encounter is the fact that when she gets to the hospital, she does not get attended to as she ought to when we talk about emergency. Now, looking from that aspect, sir, would we say that the fault is from the patient or from the medical practitioners? not taking it serious.
Well, I beg to disagree.
Okay,
that,
sir.
Because I know in my center where I'm practicing, I know anytime they bring the patients, emergency patient, every sickle cell is emergency, but they're always in crisis.
Yeah.
Not always. At least many of them, they rush them in, they are in crisis. And it may be kind of physical difference that you are being serious pains. Of course, they ought to be attended immediately, and that's what we do. But there are times that there are conditions, depending. Not all the things they provide, some of them we have to, if they are not entering on the insurance, they have to pay for the service. By the time, this kind of disease affects poor people more.
Absolutely.
So
yes,
that reason they can't afford all this treatment.
Sir.
That's the reason here. And you cannot just be a good Samaritan. You can't continue spending your own money every time. So that's the reason. But the best way we can do that is that we try as much as possible to prevent, to see health educate. And that love is not everything. Because we still believe now, we still have people in town that they don't believe, they don't do screening before they get
don't
married.
Go for tests.
They don't go for tests because it's only after one or two kids have their sickle cell, the patients. That reason that trouble starts in the family. They start fighting, they start quarreling. In fact, it may lead to separation of both parents. So that's what is better. It's better prevented, because all these vaccination, all these drugs, all these, if you don't have the problem, you are less concerned. And again, we try as much as possible to bring in people, to bring in NGOs that can support. Even though NGOs support this, let's say that we have NGOs coming to Osun State now to support sickle cell patients in Osun State. If you come to ministry, they go to primary care board. Okay, now we want to support you with we want to support your program on sickle cell. Of course, now there'll be a lot of testing centers which will be free. Drugs will be provided, which will be free. So I believe that it's just a matter of time to get there.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And I'm talking about trying to prevent sickle cell diseases, telling people if you go for testing, if your genotype is AS, you're not compatible and all that. So this talk or discussion about abstinence, what do you think? Do you think is the best way? Looking from like let's say American, the European countries, basically most of them do not preach this particular message to the intending couples. They rather say, okay, you know what, get tested, know your genotype. After knowing that, then get particular treatment, before maybe getting married, or even after getting married, they have treatments for them. So don't you think maybe the federal government can actually develop a system for that? Because, okay, let me expatiate more. I've seen a lot of people, social media, we have some people that actually they are AS and they get married. And because the facilities and the treatment needed for sickle cell is not provided basically in Nigeria, they have to travel abroad. Most of them are not in Nigeria as we speak, because they know that if they actually get to have a sickle cell child, they have to get the child treated as soon as possible, and they are living their best life. Don't you think? I'm just saying, don't you think the federal government should also provide a means of treatment for these sickle cell people? Because heartbreak and and love matters can be so strong that some people would not want to risk it or leave their partner because of the genotype. What do you think about that?
Well, actually, everything is boiled down to health education. But by the time, right from primary school, secondary school, university level, we are giving our children health education. And you explain the consequences of this kind of problem to them, telling them that, one, if yes, you marry yes, what are the probability of them having? The probability of all their kids can be SS. They may be lucky. We have only one. They may be lucky, none of them. But the problem is that
the probability is very small.
Yes. By the time you have, if you have like 10 couples, then, or let's say 100 couples, then you will know when they married, and they got married, and maybe 10 of them, yes. The other 90. If you look at the rate of divorce or separation, if you rate at the rate that disharmony within the marriage system, you see it's very common among those people that are having, it's not everything. It's only when after you've given birth that you now start seeing the faults. But let me tell you, in almost all over the world, when you have, there are some complications of sickle cell disease. Yeah, you will not be able to manage complex complications very well. Because sickle cell disease, we call it persistent. It affects every part of the body. In the society you mentioned, that maybe the heirs, they marry heirs and don't have facility. What did they do? Our culture and religious belief, they are the one that does not support us in this kind of work. Some of them, by the time early pregnancies, they can't treat. Because that some tests that can be, like Amino said, that can be done. You pick that, this baby coming will be a sickler. So, but this part of the world, all those ones are not being encouraged.
Are not being encouraged in this part of the world.
In this part of the world, are not being encouraged. And the best we can do that is just to prevent. If you marry somebody, of course, look at the amount of money, out of pocket expenses they're spending on the heads, on the family, and with their family they have 4 kids, all of them SS. So look
that would be so.
Of course, tension. In fact, psychological problems.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you can see that's kind of a woman that's, in fact, going to job, go to a daily work. If she's working as a teacher, she's working in the industry. Of course, you'll not be going regularly, and that one can lead to giving a query. That one can lead to having dismissed from work. Why can't you prevent this thing? So that's the way I'm looking at it.
Absolutely.
That's the way I'm looking at it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for putting the balance that it's not being encouraged in this part of the country. Basically, maybe because of religion and the culture.
Yeah.
So the best thing that is being encouraged in this part of the country is for you to abstain from it, know your genotype, and know who you can get married to before even falling in love. Thank you very much, sir. So I would like to ask, this vaccine that the federal government actually developed, have they developed it already, or they are in the process of developing it?
I think from what I read about the vaccine is that it has been developed.
Okay.
No, this vaccine is not new. It's not new.
Yes, sir.
On that part of the world. If you go to Europe, to America, it's already available in Kenya, in South Africa.
Okay.
So with only that, I've told you the work of the vaccine.
Yes, sir.
So I've told you, it's not that just to prevent sickle, it's just to add to the quality of life they are living, and to fight, because definitely they will be depressed just to supporting to boost the immune system and to fight against certain diseases like the streptococcus and Haemophilus influenza. Those are the two vaccines that are very common nowadays.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir. I'd like to ask, is this vaccine actually free? Like, I hope it's not too expensive for normal Nigerians to
I will not be, I can't answer that question. I cannot answer that question. And for this kind of vaccine, it depends on government. If government want to make it free, just like COVID vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine, there's so many vaccines now. Even malaria vaccine, it's on trial now. It's free, but it depends on government. Like, government can do something about it. If they want to make it free, they can make it free. Yeah.
Okay.
Then again, if you have another things that majority states, you have partners. You have partners like this Gavi, Global Alliance for Vaccine and Immunization. It's a global organization. They can give us free. So there are so many partners that they can provide the vaccine for us and give us
free. Wow.
But I cannot say, I'm not talking on behalf of the company.
Okay.
I don't know much about it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah. All right. So you said Global Alliance. Well, what's that? Can you?
Gavi, Global
so that they can
for vaccine and immunization.
Wow. Nice. Thank you so much, sir. That was quite enlightening. And all add what doctor said about abstinence from getting married to someone with genotype of AS. If you particularly are AS, if you are also AS, just stay away from it. So thank you so much, thank you so much for joining us on today's program, and it's AM Cafe, and I am your host, Tulokwe Akinyemi, signing out. Thank you so much for coming once again, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.